Obviously, the biggest news of the week is definitely Meg Mack's retirement. Just what kind of role has she played for the club, and what does it mean to get to farewell her at home this week?
Yeah, it's a lot's been said during the week, and she's been an exceptional player for a long period. Come from, a non-traditional, I suppose. She wasn't drafted, and to force her way into the competition and have a great career and lead and all the accolades that come along with her performances of. Speak for themselves, but then to lead a program like our program for a number of years and to set it up to pass on the baton to the next generation, she's been exceptional, and it's been a really fun week in regards to just seeing her deal with the upcoming change, but also we're all very excited about what she's going to do next because her in football in some capacity is a good thing. So. Couple her with Kate Darby and Shelley Scott, and there's a lot of games that all of a sudden disappear from your program from an experience perspective. But as I said to our playing group the other day, particularly our younger girls, to make sure you get around these players and try and siphon as much information out of them as you possibly can, because they've got so much wisdom to give.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on Shelley Scott and Kate Darby as well. Of course, disappointing that Shelley's retiring from the sidelines with that injury, but I guess. Obviously, such experience as you touched on. What do you think has been the key focus for passing it on to the younger players? What's been some of the key lessons? Yeah,
so Shelley's a prime example of just what toughness looks like. And when she came into our program, she brought that from the start, and her resilience around having to travel from out at Forest, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from here, all out of Casey, because she loves the game that much. The sacrifice part, and the same as Kate too, with sacrificing family and whatnot. Just how much the game means to all the players who are retiring. But for Shelley to give up all of that time in the car and whatnot, but then to come into our program and just be tough and show how competitive she was and is. She was a great player and mentor. I know Ashley Maloney would laugh around her being new to the game and not too sure what she couldn't do, but she always had that support from Scotty in the background saying, "You just do that, I've got your back." And that just speaks about Scotty. She's got everyone's back, and the way she played was exceptional for us. And she's a goal scorer, so we missed those avenues to goals, particularly this year when Chloe was out. For the last couple of seasons with Chloe Shear being out, Scotty's filled that void to a degree where she's hit the scoreboard for us and kept us in games. And we'll miss her around the club for sure.
I'm sure conversations that happen each year, probably last season, you speak to them about, do they go again this year? All of them probably maybe didn't have the season that they wanted in terms of consistency of games. Yeah. But how important was it, I guess, do you feel like, in retrospect, that they were with the program this year to have that leadership experience with the group in this year particularly? Yeah,
it's an important one. As I said before, you lose all that experience in a really quick time now for the three of them retiring. At least have had this year to pass on some of those lessons learned or behaviours, standards that they've acquired over a number of years. And even though Shelley couldn't get out on the field, her being around and just being that kind of mentor for players has been really, really positive. Kate's the same. Kate had a really good pre-season, but unfortunately her calf gave out early in the season, and her just being around and being positive around, that's just what happens in sport. You need to be resilient in that space too. You can't cry foul around poor me. And it's interesting for these players who are, and we all go through it. We all, as athletes, we all get to the point where our time comes to an end or gets close to becoming to an end, and it just makes them more hungry to be better and to be better leaders, to be better mentors, and they've done that. All three have done that throughout the season. So. Yes, there's been some hard times with Kate and Meg in particular being in and out, but they've certainly showed how important and how demanding the sport is, and how you can behave to get through those times of negativity if it's through injury or non-selection. But also there's so many good things to be had at the same time. So it's been an important year to have those girls around, but also to pass on all that learning to the group.
We're touching on some of the young players. Georgia Pressparkas named the extended 22 under 22 squad. She's vying for her fifth selection, which has only been done once before. What sort of a role is she playing in the squad at the moment?
Pretty pivotal at the moment with the way she's played around the season. Her midfield craft has just grown to another level, which has been great to watch. I've mentioned it before. she's a real student of the game, and she analyses opposition, her own performance. Whether it be AFL men's, AFLW, wouldn't matter. And she's showing real growth in different parts of her fundamental piece too, whether it be midfield craft, kick, mark handball type of decisions. So, the next part of her game, I'm really excited to see how she grows into that next phase. And, it's important that we get our remaining midfielders to keep improving at the same rate to a degree. Like, no one's a clone of each other, but I think Nina Morrison's had a really good second half of the year too, which is exceptional. Amy McDonald keeps coming in and out of games, but when she's in, she's really in. So that consistency as a group to support the likes of George and others that come through the midfield is important. But she had a great year. I didn't realise it was maybe her 5th time in the Yeah, well, there you go. It's good people to be with. But Emma Kilpatrick's one of those ones that pops into mind. I looked at the squad. I was like, biased hat on. Who else would you throw in there? And I think Emma Kilpatrick's probably thrown on the radar to a certain degree. But George has had a great year.
Should you say Kilpatrick might be still up to be up for Rising Star or get a nom in that space? Yeah,
I was a little dirty early in the year when you look at some of the stats that are being thrown out for the players who have top 10 draft picks. I think Emma Kilpatrick's stats, I think the Richmond game in particular, showed that she was well and truly above some of the noms. There's no disrespect to the players who have been nominated clearly, but I think she sits in that same class as some of those top 10 draft picks and how they performed this year. And we've used Emma as a winger, defender, inside mid. Like, she's quite versatile and only 18, 19 years old. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do over the next 12 months for sure.
Do you think Chris Marcus would be vying for All-Australian potentially at the end of the season as well?
Again, biased hat on. I think with the year she's had, she'd have to be close to be in that conversation. I know they just brought out the Irish game, Irish v Australian game, and she was named on the midfield group there. So, that's the thing with the midfielders around the competition. There's just so many good midfield players in the W. But for me, the year she's had this year, I'd be pretty confident that she'd be in that space, but who would know?
Got 50 games for Claudia this week as well. With some of those more experienced players retiring, what sort of role do those players with that sort of level of experience start to step up? Like, what are they going to do moving forward? Yeah,
it's a big milestone, isn't it? Like, we've had 75 game players, 50 game players this year. Like, we're building our list profile with games and experience, and she's one, again, has come from a non-traditional pathway through the VFLW. Actually, before that, she was playing up in Sydney in the New South Wales competition, and came down here and did really well in the VFLW, has played forward for us, has been a real stalwart playing now as a defender, has learned a lot of her craft through the players she's played with Meg and others in that space, Becky Webster, and her intercepting over the last few years has been great. Talking about all Australian nominations, like maybe a couple of years ago she was stiff not to be nominated there, but 50 games for where she's come from and how she's improved is great. But now she's that one. She's that person now that needs to continue growing and leading and driving the stands around how the game's played, but bringing others along with her. And I'm sure she will. Like, she's a great teammate to her back five and back six players in particular. And I have no doubt that with Sienna Telleridi, Lexi Gregory coming in, like, she'll mentor those two. But even like Georgie Rankin's had a really good year this year for us, which is great for her too and great for us. But she'll have some good support in that space as well. But 50 games, it's a big celebration. Yeah.
Unchanged for the Ds. A lot needs to go right to sneak into finals, but I think you said last week just look to win.
Just win. Yeah.
How big of a task is it? Because I think you haven't been a current top 8 team, but how important would that be to get a scalp over them in that final round? But how tough will it be? Obviously, a great side.
Yeah, well, you're right. They've had a great year. Like, they've had a really good year there. They've got lots to play for this weekend. If they win, they might be able to jump to second, which is what they're after, consolidating their season. But their last month has shown that there's some maybe chinks in their armour to a degree, and we know they've got a sensational midfield. They've got some really important scoring threats up front. Really versatile team around the ground. They've been stingy in defence. Like, it's all three parts of their game has been on show this year, and we just have to be on our game from the start. Like I think the way Caitlin Tipping's improving around her ruck craft, our midfield, their midfield's got a really good battle. I think field position is going to be important against this team. They're a great turnover scoring side. They use all parts of the ground, the corridor in particular. So who can concentrate the longest and execute at the time of when it counts the most will matter a lot. I thought our start last week against the Dogs early in the first quarter, set a real tone. 3 goals in quick succession. It'll need something like that again to put scoreboard pressure on just as much as we can apply physical pressure to what is an exceptional team. So a great challenge to finish the year off, no doubt. But also, I think our last 2 or 3 rounds, probably our last 3 or 4 rounds to be fair, have been pretty consistent around how we've been playing. But you kind of take out the West Coast game would be nice. But I think we've been going okay.
I feel like as well, matchup's important because I read off the top 3 in terms of Kate Hall, Zanka, Harris down forward as well, particularly defensively. Matchups be important to kind of limit those quality of players. No,
definitely. We went in last week with a bit of a plan on just trying to nullify some of the Dogs' influential players, and it'll be the same this week. Kate Hall's had a great year. She can play any position really. So trying to nullify her input is really important. Pearce in the ruck, Campbell in the ruck as well. They brought back Georgia Gore, who can play tall, and forward and inside mid as well. So they've got some real versatility. So we need to make sure that we're matching those players. Zanka's had a great year too. So no doubt that Claude's will give her a bit of a crack at throughout the game. Zanka's been going inside mid, which is great. So it just gives another look for one of our midfielders to be a bit more up against a taller, strong-body midfielder too. So there's a few things in play that we want to try and make sure we nullify, but their versatility is going to be important to kind of manage.
I think North, it's more of a general one about the competition. North Melbourne going for kind of a record amount of wins across the AFL, VFL this season. I don't think they've lost the game by less than 29 points. What do you make of their season? I think some people have said, it's does it detract from the competition that you've got a team so far ahead? But others have said that can push other teams to get better. Where do you sit on that, and what they're obviously striving for this weekend as well?
No, I'm all for it. Like if you're a team like the Kangaroos, bugger off the rest of the competition if you think we're going too well, and it's not fair. Every team wants to strive to be their best, and I think they've shown that over the last 2-3 seasons that the way they've grown and their win-loss speaks for itself. I think it's something that all clubs should be striving for. It's like, could you dive into their program and find out what they're doing inside their program to kind of keep that continuity up? Like their list availability is fresh, for most of the year, which is great for their selection process. Their continuity and cohesion is clear to see. You got players like Garner who flies under the radar, but not really. She's exceptional. But then you've got like Ash Riddell who's getting upwards of 40 touches a game. Like that's amazing. Like to have a midfielder that can go in there and have between 30 and 40 between 3 players. Like the ball's only going one way then, isn't it? Really. So to try and stop those running machines they've got and the way they connect, it's bloody hard. Like it's really hard and. They've done it for a long period. Like that team's been together for a long period. So to get that continuity, to capture their motivation too, to play the same way week in, week out. Like that's what we love to be able to bottle and find the secret ingredient, because the game is so volatile that there's ups and downs, but their ups are really, really amazing, and their downs, as you said, they only lose, not so only win by 30 points, and that's a down game, a 5-goal win. So. No. Hats off to them. They deserve everything they get, and every club should be striving to be that good.